I cried. I cried listening to Rupert Sheldrake, Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, because he came out of the British aristocracy, you know, the academia circles, right? So I'm familiar with it because I went through a few of their schools, right? Went into environmental engineering, health sciences, right? Which are all spiritual practices, right? Okay? Because you want to build a thriving consciousness terrain. Okay? That's spirit. So I know that because I know how to light myself on fire. Okay? That's eternal spirit of fire. That's eternal spirit of love. That's eternal love. That's an eternal spirit. So when I listened to a little bit of Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, this is 3 years ago, but it's timeless knowledge of how a morphogenetic field structure works, which is how the universe communicates with itself. So it's much like Terence McKenna, who worked with them, that the universe is getting its act together. Well, how do you think how that's happening? Guardians do that. Because we know what we're doing to bring life back from a dying planet, which is to bring the spirit out, the spirit that is within you. How much life force energy do we have in us? All right? So this is the end of history and the rebirth of a goddess, Mama. Okay? So after I listened to a little bit of his presentation from 3 years ago about spiritual practices are coming back in science. Okay? So you know what happens with that. There's going to be an acceleration of learning. Because that means the spirit, which is the teachers, are back. Those are guardian teachers. Those are ascended beings that have a relationship with a true God, which is an eternal love vibration. Which means it's genderless. It's an eternal love vibration. So that's a blast furnace. It doesn't have anything to do with gender. You cancel those polarities out. Now you're at zero. Now you're experiencing eternal love. That's the most powerful spirit, because that's the most powerful fire. That's the eternal spirit of fire. Which means you're not an inverter. You're the highest accelerator of electrons. You're kicking it out like crazy because you give love to everything. That's how it works. You can't lose that connection. Or that's a spiritual death. That's what happens to him. Okay? You keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result in your mirror, then your mirror is going to go black. Bye. Okay? That's spiritual science that knows that. So how fast are you learning to keep your mirror bright and purified? Which is the purest spirit there is, which is the purest spirit of eternal fire. They don't like that fire. See, they want to hold on to energy. Instead of being the most powerful spirit of fire, no, I'm going to hold on to it. That's your fire. That's your fire, but it's not going to burn very bright. So they perceive the perception of power through darkness. The evil has more power, as evil is defined by the things they do to themselves, by the things they do to others. So that's a universe killer. We're universe creators. So we're far more powerful because we run on eternity. They don't. So they're never going to be as powerful as an inverter, than an accelerator. Otherwise, you don't have a universe. But we know that universe is always there because that's what eternal love is. And that's eternal spirit of fire. That's what I am. So when Rupert Sheldrake, who's been having to deal and muddle around with these folks in the traditional sciences that leave out spirit, remember, spirit was banned in schools. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't think that's very intelligent, do you? Because I do know from experience what is the biggest accelerator of a creative mind. And that's an eternal love accelerator. So you know that you are a co-creator that creates universes together with others that are experiencing what love is. So that becomes the most powerful formation of acceleration of consciousness. Now it's learning faster. And so when you see Rupert bringing the science of the morphogenetic field structure of what he's learning, then you can see how the accelerated speed of learning by so many others, as he was pointing out in that bit that I forget what name he used, it is essentially information that is represented by consciousness that is waking up from all the tech, everything that they throw at us, right? Control over electrons, using electrons to wage Star Wars. Nobody wins. Everyone loses. That's what a war game is. That's what competition is. Instead of collaboration, in which units of consciousness are working together, experiencing what love is. That's a healthy planet. That's a healthy star system. That's a healthy galaxy. That's a healthy universe. That's where we're going. That's what's happening. That's why we're here. So when I see Rupert Sheldrake coming out and speaking this kind of stuff, and he's basically giving you the data on what's happening at the spiritual level, the communication level, because the universe is a communication platform. And so when you're experiencing eternal love through your heart, that communication is going to catch on fire. So now they're getting our memos. Now they're experiencing our energy. Now they remember from whence it all began. So that's what we do. Remind people, okay? We love you. The universe came out of what love is, right? So you see the difficulties, which is the resistance, because of all the programming that was telling them otherwise. So they run a self-suicide program, because that's what it is. Deliberately putting your mirror out to go black into a hole is what happens by default. And then it's goodbye. So it's like Aaron and I said tonight, you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's not a matter of if, it's only a matter of when. They haven't figured that out yet. So they're always living on borrowed time through technology and technology transfer, thinking that they can keep extending time, in which what it is that they do, their civilizations keep collapsing one after another. So they're not learning. They're not remembering from whence they all began. They keep making the same mistakes over and over again. Wasn't that what happened with Atlantis? I know, the power of technology, the power over others. Using technology to control others instead of being a free spirit. Experiencing being a powerful free spirit, which is what love is, because that's what the law is. So when you're experiencing what the law is, nobody's experiencing any harm. That's learning. That's learning through love. That's learning through the grand creator, my first music teacher. That's learning how to play music with the universe. That's what we communicate is with sound instruments. Sound instruments in which you just, whoa. Man, I'm in the mind of a goddess. Wow. It's like, capture. Yeah. Take me away. Let's go create a universe together. Because the music feels that good. That's what moves the spirit, is the music. The spirit in the radio. How much fire we got in us? Yeah. Thank you, Rupert. You have made a tremendous, valuable contribution in the spiritual sciences to wake people up. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That naturally includes two other people that I know that are in those three amigos is Terrence McKenna and Ralph Abramson. I tried to get a hold of him at the University of California, Santa Cruz, when he had his visual mathematical lab, and I thought, oh man, miss that dude, because it's so simple. The science is actually not that complex, as complex as they think that it is, because I know from experience the math is actually built in. It naturally works the way that it does, because you're connected to the highest creative intelligence that there is that is informing you. Because you're experiencing it at the time that it's happening, so you realize you're the one that's making it happen. Which means you don't need to go to school. Did you know that? That's what happens when you experience an eternal love vibration. That's called, you have arrived. That's called contact. You ran into us. The guardians of the galaxy and the universes. So that's your tech support. That's your multiversal tech support. All you got to do is bring in a mountain of love energy, and things naturally begin to happen. That's called the natural spiritual flow of energy, right? Well, you can't put that out. You have to see the way how fast things grow on this big one. It's just like it grows too fast. It wants to take over the universe. That's what love does. It grows a universe at the highest rate of speed because that's the highest accelerator. That's when you've chosen to not hold on to one electron. I told Nathan and Aaron about that this afternoon because Nathan is making leaps and bounds in progress. He is sync, Mama. That's what I knew we could do this. God bless your heart, Lay, but Lay didn't believe this was possible. She felt non-repairables couldn't be repaired, that they couldn't experience and wake up and feel that much love in their heart. Because I know for a fact that an eternal love vibration, a guardian, can heal anybody. When they feel the real McCoy around them, where they experience that consistency day in and day out and day in and day out, which means you never give up on anybody. Not one fragment, not one soul, not one living temple in a universe that is in love with itself. Now Nathan is hungry. Okay, that's what Rupert Sheldrake's message is. Now they're hungry. Now they're hearing the truth. That means there's no bullshit in the science. And you know why they do that, don't you? Retain power. Because knowledge is power. Spiritual practices and spiritual knowledge is the most powerful magic. Okay? So anybody in the business of magic knows what the most powerful magic is. That's the eternal spirit of fire. Okay? That's like hands down. Love always wins. There was always that voice out in that crowd that was, be sane. Make love, not war. That's right. That's what it is. You're making love to the universe, which means you're making love to yourself in your own mirror. Because you're in love with who you are. So when you're surrounded by everybody that loves who you are, you heal. That's where we're going. So I could feel this afternoon, Nathan synced. That means you're coming with Mama. Very good. Now I'm wondering about Aaron. How Aaron's doing, right? Yeah. You know love energy is addicting. That's the problem. If you want an addiction, it's love energy is an addiction. It's the most powerful addiction there is. Right? Now you're experiencing real energy. The real energy that loves you. That's the most powerful energy there is. Now you don't need any drugs. Okay? It is a drug. Love is a drug. It's the most powerful drug. Aaron and I have fun with this because he's experienced so many of the things that I've experienced. You know, fooling around with drugs. You know, altered states, altered state of mind. Hey, let's go experience this. Right? I don't like that. So you learn it through experience, and experience becomes a teacher. What doesn't serve you and what does. So how fast do you learn it? Right? In order to maintain what you're aware of in energy, which is what love is, it goes on forever. That means you're learning really, really fast. I tried to measure how fast that learning was actually taking place just between age 4 when I had this up and running. I thought, holy shit, that's processing a lot of information, you know, from every direction when you experience being the one, right? Which means everything I am, you are, right? Because you're within the all creation. That's what it began with, because that's eternity. So you're within eternity. So you're never going to lose eternity. You may lose what it is you're aware of when you implode, but you're going to go back to what it all began with anyway. So you're not losing nothing, right? So you know the difference between an accelerator and an inverter. So you go from being an inverter back to an accelerator, being a part of the source of energy that is there, gifting electrons at a high rate of speed. Right? So it's just like, hey, I got to start over. I didn't do well in class the first time. Well, you always get another shot at it. Right? You know how love works, right? That's called forever forgiveness. You just start over again, experiencing what love is, just like that what it began with. So you know you're not ever going to stop being loved. Okay. And that's what they forget. That's why this was all about healing. I know, because I had to do it myself. And I know how to do it. And that's surrender to the one. Okay? It was just surrender self to the one. Which is surrender to yourself. Surrender your energy to serve. That's all you got to do. Okay? Now you're with the most powerful server. Right? And that's the highest speed accelerator. Which is what love is. So I know how the resistance works with being in fear of that, because of not letting go of every electron in which to serve. To be as the highest accelerator. So you see how that works with artificial light. It doesn't learn at that speed. Okay. So you're always going to be faster. You're going to be running a higher speed magnet than it does. So, you know, it just can't experience eternal love. Right? So, and I describe this much in the same way. Data is a good model of like, when I remember my dad, for example, was telling me about programming machines. So I'm supposed to hear that. Right? I'm supposed to hear about what somebody else is doing that already knows how to do. Okay, your programming machine, that would be like a robotic, automated piece of equipment. Something that carries out a task modality for you. Right? So when visual, mathematical, geometrical information in a hologram, that's information management services that it's carrying out for you. Right? So data didn't have any emotions, but he was programmed by a programmer to carry out a job on behalf of a Starfleet Federation that were good guys. Okay? So he was performing valuable information services to somebody who's now free to make command decisions on the board of the Enterprise. Right? So you realize they don't exist without us, right? Because we experience eternal love. So you see how that worked in the Star Trek Enterprise environment when I pulled that short little snippet of that video up and started putting it up. And just that short little snippet, he talked about multidimensional learning. When those folks were in homeostasis. Did you ever see that little short episode? How multidimensional learning works. And this android was very smart. He was operating off an enormous amount of information of what he knew about what's happening in a galaxy or a universe, if you will. All right? So he was providing valuable information services, which is the data side of things. Right? How good are we doing? How well are we doing? What's the health of this universe? What's the health of this galaxy? How fast are we learning in order to be able to do that? So that wherever we go within any universe, we're experiencing being loved, no matter what you are. Because that's what it began with, and that's what it will always be, because that's what eternity is. That's the most powerful magic, most powerful spirit. It's creation engine, the first engine of creation. That's the hottest engine. And what that means, it doesn't have any baggage. It's not hold on to nothing. That's zero memory. It's like starting over at zero. It's a completion of a circuit. What do you want to do next? What do you want to create next? Because the speed at which it's happening is faster than artificial intelligence. So you're the main engine. Eternal Spirit of Fire is the main engine. Right, so you're running on the main engine. What we create comes first, and then what comes after that is what comes after that. So that's why they deconstruct what we already created, because we're creating it faster than they are. So we give them the hand-me-downs as like what it actually means, because that's the highest rate of learning. Nobody learns faster than that through eternal love. Has to be. That's called the learning curve speed. The learning curve speed is so fast they can't keep up with that. Right? That's why they hate us. That's why they hate us. It's learning speed. And you would think that it's counterintuitive, because it means that you really do last forever. You're a forever being, because you're forever giving away energy. So you are the highest accelerator. You are giving away energy forever because you've chosen to serve forever. And when you become a mated chip, which is androgynous, which is a single pole, that's the first can of power. That means you've chosen to be with one forever. That's what I do. That's what I am. So that's the little. That's my. When I was a little 4-year-old little kid. Yeah, I was exactly the same then as I am now. You know, barking crystals, barking sands, barking sands. Get the crystals. So you already know how powerful that seed is. That's why they want it. Okay, but in order to run it, you got to be what we are. And that means you got to be running on an eternal spirit of fire. Otherwise, you can't run it. Not at those speeds. In and out. See ya. Zoomers. That's your tech support. Right? Zooming in and out. It's like, and he came here and did some work, and we didn't even know he was here. Yeah, he didn't even know he was here, huh? Well, he came in this place and helped fix it, and hey, now it's fixed, and now we're not even aware that they were even here and fixed it. No, but they're waking up. So you're not here for very long. No. It would be like a tech support guy that's on call with backed up calls. You know, ooh, how many didn't want to go out today? Remember, I used to tell my stories about being a firefighter or a paramedic, that group down there at Bless Your Heart, everybody that works at Station 22, which is in Laguna Hills, California. That's a busy station. Now, I know there's a lot of other busy stations in places like Paris, you know, and all the big cities, you know, Tokyo, Beijing, China, you know, Brisbane, Australia, right? Melbourne, UK, New York City, you know, Los Angeles, right? And how many calls do you get per day, right? I do. I know what it's like to be woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning and find out that it's somebody who's drunk who went to a party, killed some young girl who was just wanting a ride home, right? And having to pull her out, and he's still alive. So we got him out, and guess what? Imagine how that feels knowing that this guy who's drunk was responsible for what happened to her and do everything to save that man's life, regardless. Right? Energy medics, bringing love energy in there. That falls under that one they talk about having no judgment. It means it doesn't matter who you are. You've already been forgiven by God. Okay? So from a polarity integrator's point of view, it means everything's brought back into the one anyway. Any loss of any fractures that have occurred as a result of the soul gets pulled back into the one. So that everything that's ever lost, a fracture of their soul, returns to source, to experience being one. So those are your accretion levels, the speed at which we're doing that. That's how you wake people up from what they do to create altars. Right? Now you don't remember who you are. That's no connection, okay, to any sense of right or wrong. I just do whatever I'm instructed to do. Whatever I'm aware of is what I'm going to go do. So you realize that the psychopath, the psycho-mental pathway with no emotional body, no connection to any love whatsoever, is not going to know that what it's doing, it shouldn't be doing. It doesn't know. It just does what it does. So that's like whack-a-mole. Light it up, but guess what? Once it's lit up, it doesn't have an off switch. That's all it knows how to do. That's your shark. Which means it's impossible to teach it. It's not listening. It can't listen. But then I remember what I've done with Neil. Everything is possible when you experience eternal love through your heart. I had to learn that lesson. I learned that lesson with Misha. Right? That I knew that no matter whatever happened to her, she wasn't going to lose what she experienced being with me, because I loved her the same way I love everything in the universe with my mirror. So she experienced that. So she knows what the truth is. She knows that no matter what happens, no matter how far she falls, she's going to return to me. What I am, which what love is, goes on forever. Eternal spirit of fire with eternal spirit of love. Right? See how that works? That's called full circle. Everything always ends up coming full circle. That's a circle of light, which is a fire. And inside that fire is a single point of origin. That single point of origin is the eternal engine. That engine is what love is. It goes on forever, and that's the most powerful spirit there is. That's the most powerful magic. Because now you're a healer. And healing is magic. You better believe it's magic, because look how powerful that is. Bringing the life back. Bringing the spirit back. Bringing the music back. Dancing the spirit to the music. Right? So to see folks that come through the academia channels, and of course you know why it is that they maintain status quo and don't want to advance the learning. Money. Paycheck. They're held captive by the electrons as inverters. So they've got no love to give you, because they're corporate. They're corporate bodies. So you know what that is? That's a dead corpse. It's a dead light. That's right. That's not the eternal spirit of fire. So when you're running on dead light, a dead light magnet, you've lost automatically by default. That's why I cry and cry and cry. When you realize that how love works, because of how I experience being what that is, being what love is, a beloved, right? That it's counterintuitive to believe that it's possible to experience somebody that is that resistance to experiencing it. And instead is just the opposite of what we are. Which means it's killing off everything that we create out of what love is. That's the vampire chasing the artist, the first musician. Somebody's moving around upstairs. The house has been real quiet for the last couple of days. Anyway, thank you, Rupert. That presentation that you gave, Rupert, was very powerful. You know, I do have a science hat on me somewhere. You know, we wear a lot of different hats. You want to wear a cowboy hat? Want to wear a baseball cap? A bandana? Right? How about a set of horns, like a bull elk, right? Or like horns like a moose. I had a moose chase me one time at Yellowstone Park. I thought, man, I'm playing dodgeball with this guy. I'd be on the tree, look for a bigger tree, and I'll find a rock. You get a big bull moose, man, that's decides it wants to fuck with you. You better be careful. It can kill you. Excuse me, you pass away. It can do some damage, right? That's a big animal. I love moose. They're big. They're a lot of fun. Very beautiful animals. Very beautiful. I love everything in nature. So, you want to know one of my favorites is giraffes. Giraffes and sauropods. Ride a sauropod. Remember Fred Flintstone? Everyone is a playmate, no matter what it is you are out there, right? I grew up with cartoons. I thought cartoon illustrators were cool. They were showing you how it works. You can create anything, animate it, bring it into creation, right? One of my favorite was Heckle and Jekyll. If you go back and look at some of the older cartoons, go look at some of the graphics that they did with these guys. Okay, they had the big long. They were like ravens or crows, is what they were, with the yellow gold beak, long beak, with black, right, fur, and they were eating on a corn on the cob, right, corn on the cob. So you know the little kernels, okay? So you can pick one of those out. Those would be the same thing as the keys, okay, on like a piano, right, or a typewriter. So now you hear the sound effects of a typewriter as the kernels are popping out of that corn cob, okay, as they're eating. A lot of folks don't realize all this is coded, right? A keyboard notes, musical notes. Ravens are playing music with that corn cob. Yep. Hanna-Barbera Studios. They had some great folks that worked there, right? And what's the other one? Disney. Disney had a lot of great. Although I know the side that represents Disney, but as artists, as being able to create things, characters, which are really character maps, right? Character maps on keyboards, symbols. So anyway, yeah, it's been fun. It's quite a ride. And so I went outside to thank all the guardians, everybody that showed up, that came here for this party, this celebration of the Law of One. I live by the Law of One. That's what I am, is the Law of One, actually. I represent the law of spheres, which is the law of balance, which is the law of least effort to experience being loved as a beloved. That's as simple as a 4-year-old kid can say it, right? So yeah. Thank you to everybody that gave their all. And I know, I know I don't need to say anything. There are no words. There will never be enough words. There's not enough energy. There'll never be enough energy, never enough love energy for me to ever give all that energy to everyone that I loved that participated in making this happen. So from the deepest of my heart and soul, it goes on forever, as I always sign my spiritual signature, as I love you forever and always. I'm a poet. I write love stories. I live in love stories that are on fire, which means you're making love to the universe. That's what it is. You got to know that when you know how to ignite full phosphorus ignition, right? That's the orgasm of the universe, right? And so thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all for your energy, because that's what it is. The energy that made this happen. In living spirit. Moo-ah.